It was supposed to be a quiet retirement. A peaceful end to my years of service as a homicide detective. But as I sit here, staring into the murky abyss of my memories, I realize the past has a way of clawing its way back, whether I'm ready for it or not. My name is Roy Freeman. A name that used to mean something. But now, it's just a whisper in the wind, fading more every day. Alzheimer's disease, they say. But I don't care much for labels. What I care about is the case that refuses to die. The case found its way back to me. It all started with a murder. A cold case. A decade-old crime that, at the time, was brushed aside. Dr. Joseph Weider. A philosophy professor who had no enemies and no reason to be taken from this world. But someone had taken him, and I, in my younger days, had worked tirelessly to find answers. But the case went nowhere. It was one of those cases that just sat, collecting dust, gathering shadows. I was forced to walk away. The city moved on, and so did I. But now, something is pulling me back. Something in my fragmented mind is pushing me to reopen that file. Some pieces don't fit, and no matter how hard I try, I can't let them go. I'm not alone in this fight, though. I have Laura Baines, my assistant, or what I like to call her, my lifeline. She's young, ambitious, and loyal to a fault. If not for her, I'd probably still be lying in bed, lost to the fog of my memory. She's the one who brought the case back to me. The one who stumbled upon a lead that I had long since forgotten. A lead that hinted at something much darker than I could have imagined. The first day I met Laura, I wasn't sure if she was brave or foolish. Maybe a bit of both. She came to me, offering her help, insisting that the truth behind Dr. Weider's murder was still out there, waiting to be uncovered. She didn't know it then, but she was about to drag me into something that would shake me to my core. We started with the basics. Reopened the case files. The usual suspects, ex-lovers, disgruntled students, and colleagues with a grudge. But the deeper we dug, the more we realized that the surface story wasn't the truth. Dr. Weider wasn't just a mild-mannered professor. No, there were things, dark things, about his life that no one ever suspected. One night, Laura came to me with something unexpected. A letter. A letter hidden away in the back of an old folder, scribbled in a hurried hand. It was addressed to Dr. Weider, but it wasn't signed. The contents were chilling. It spoke of betrayal, of secrets buried too deep to be revealed. It mentioned the Watcher again, but this time, it wasn't just a name. It was a warning. He knows, the letter said. The Watcher sees everything. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, he will be watching. He will never let you go. The Watcher. A name that had haunted me since the beginning, but I never thought it would lead to this. The letter was a thread. And we had just pulled it, unraveling everything. Laura and I followed the trail from Dr. Weider's office to the dark corners of his personal life. The deeper we dug, the more we learned about the people he was involved with. There was a secret society, a group of intellectuals, philosophers, and politicians who had formed a bond, one so deep it extended beyond simple conversation. It was a network that dealt with matters far darker than academic pursuits. And Dr. Weider? He was at the heart of it. But even that wasn't enough. We had to find the Watcher. And that meant venturing into the unknown. Laura's determination kept us going, but I could feel the strain in her eyes. The fear. She knew, deep down, that this wasn't just a case. It was a descent into something that neither of us could predict. And then came the abandoned house. The one on the edge of town. The one that had been forgotten. I didn't want to go, but Laura insisted. We had to see it. We had to understand what Dr. Weider had found there, what he had stumbled upon before his death. I hesitated at the door. The air felt thick, and my memories began to warp around me. The house smelled of decay, of lost time. But we had no choice. We stepped inside. The first thing I noticed was the mirror. It stood in the center of the room, cracked but still intact. And when I looked into it, I didn't see Laura standing beside me. I saw something else. Something that made my blood run cold. The figure is standing in the reflection, watching me. I spun around, expecting to see someone else in the room, but it was empty. Just me. Just Laura. And yet, that figure remained, its eyes following me through the glass. We left the house immediately. Laura didn't understand my urgency, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed us out. Something dark. Something that had been waiting for years. I've been losing time. Little moments. Gaps. I'll be talking to Laura, and then suddenly, I don't know where I am. My mind wanders, slipping into the void. It's the Alzheimer's, they say. But I'm not sure anymore. It feels different. Something's watching me. Watching both of us. Laura's starting to see it too. She started to look at me differently. The fear in her eyes. She doesn't say anything, but I can see it. The way she hesitates before asking me questions. The way she waits for me to remember. The case should have ended. But it hasn't. The pieces are falling into place, but the picture they form isn't one I want to see. The Watcher is real. And I think he's been waiting for me. Waiting for us to uncover the truth. And the worst part? I think he's already inside my mind. As Laura and I dug deeper, we uncovered more about Dr. Weider's secret life. He wasn't just a professor. He was a member of a clandestine group known as the Circle of the Veil. They were philosophers, yes, but also something more. They believed in the power of knowledge, knowledge that could bend reality, that could control minds. And Dr. Weider? He was their leader. But something went wrong. The group splintered, and Weider was killed. Or so we thought. The more we learned, the more we realized that his death wasn't the end. It was a message. A warning to anyone who dared to follow in his footsteps. We tracked down one of the surviving members, a man named Elias Cross. He was a recluse, living in a cabin deep in the woods. When we found him, he was half mad, muttering about the Watcher and the price of knowledge. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his eyes wild. "He's already found you. He's always watching." Elias told us about an experiment, a ritual, that Weider had conducted. It was meant to unlock the secrets of the human mind, to see beyond the veil of reality. But something went wrong. Something came through. And it never left. The deeper we went, the more the lines blurred. Was I chasing the truth, or was the truth chasing me? Laura began to change. She became distant and paranoid. She started seeing things too, shadows in the corner of her vision, whispers in the dark. And then there were the gaps in my memory. Whole days would disappear, and I'd wake up in strange places, with no idea how I got there. But I always felt him. The Watcher. His presence was like a weight on my chest, a cold hand on the back of my neck. One night, I found myself standing in front of the mirror again. But this time, I wasn't alone. The figure was there, staring back at me. And for the first time, I saw his face. It was mine. The Watcher wasn't just a man. He was an idea. A force. And he had been with me all along, waiting for me to remember. Waiting for me to see. The case is closed now. But the truth? The truth is still out there, watching. And I don't know how much longer I can keep it at bay.